Good evening, everyone. My name, as you all know, is Nahum Alcantar, and this is my story. Before Genesys work, my life was completely different. I was not thinking about being a professional or even dressing up professionally. All I was thinking about was soccer, playing Call of Duty, and hanging out with my girlfriend. I was just a normal guy. Throughout high school, I was not the best student. Some of my teachers even told me they hated me, not because I was a bad kid, but because I was frustrating to them. My test scores were good, but I never did my homework. It was easy for me to get the good test score without paying attention in class or even doing my homework. Every year of high school, my teacher would tell me how much potential I have and that I just have to put in the work. One time, my English teacher, Ms. Kramer, yelled at me for not reading a book, but having more to say in a class discussion. Every time, teachers would give me advice to better myself, and at first I would be motivated. I would actually go home and do my homework. I would sit by my computer desk where my Xbox was, and I wouldn't even turn it on. But then, after a few hours of homework, distractions would get to me. For example, the lead in this pencil right here became the most fascinating object in the world. Some pretty awesome lead. That would then lead to the little X on my Xbox to light up. I would play for an hour or two, but then something in my head would tell me that the enemy is nearby, aka my mom. Once you heard the footsteps, too late. You had two options: turn the Xbox off, or keep it on and hope she believes me when I tell her the work is done. In the end, I would take in my teacher's advice and try to do the hard work, but every single time I would go back to my old habits. Then junior year came. One of the things that gets me really motivated is competition. With my peers, there has always been some sort of academic competition. Once in math class, we got our test scores back, and my friends Caesar and Roy harassed me until I showed them my scores. They wanted to see if they had gotten a higher score than me, and in this rare occasion, they had. This type of competition motivated me, but only for a certain amount of time. In the end, I went back to the same pattern. Advice from my teachers did not work, competition did not work, but in life there's always that one person who can spark up some life-changing set of events. For me, that one person was my mom. With my mom, it was very different. One day we had parent-teacher conferences, and as always, my mom went. My mom knew that junior year was the year I had to give it my best. We went in, and as always, the teacher told her the same thing they tell her every year: I need to work harder. As we were leaving, I could see the disappointment in my mom's face. We got in a car, and she just sat there, silent for a while. Then I saw a tear coming down from the corner of her eye. My mom's not the type of person that would cry. Normally she would yell, but this time she was crying. I'm not an emotional person, but when I saw the tears running down my mom's face, I had to look away. Even though I looked away, I could still hear the sobs. At that moment, I knew that everything I was doing was wrong. It's a shame that in order for me to change my ways, I had to see my mom hurt and disappointed. After that, I promised myself and my mom that I would try harder. The days passed, and I was doing better. My grades were improving. I was actually getting most of my homework done. I started getting involved in more school activities. I thought to myself, I was starting to make up for the pain I had caused my mom. But then, it was an unfortunate result to my progress. It turns out that once my teachers saw me coming into the potential they always said I had, they wanted even more. One day, my college counselor, Mr. Surge, pulled me out of math class. He He took me to his office and presented me with a brochure about Genesys Works. He explained what the program was all about and how a good candidate I would be. I asked him, am I being forced to apply? He responded, yes, followed by a thorough explanation of why I'm a good candidate. For his sake, I smiled and said I would complete the application. But in my head, I was already imagining my summer filled with soccer and no Genesys Works. I had it all planned out, but like any other person, I made a huge mistake. I told my mom about Genesys Works. I saw the look in her face, and at that moment, I knew what soldiers feel when they're getting drafted. I stand here in front of you today, happy I was drafted. My old lazy self would have never had a chance to work for one of the largest companies in the world, AT&T. That guy would probably still be goofing off, playing with his friends. Turns out all the yelling and all the advice my teacher gave me was right. I always knew I had potential, but it wasn't until Genesys Works that I lived up to that potential. Through hard work, determination, and 8 long weeks of Kaufani, I stand here as a young professional, a hard worker, and a person who can tackle any obstacle. Now I know my mom will shed a tear, but this time it would not be because she sees a lazy high school student, but because she sees a reflection of all the things she has given me. Thank you.